Welcome to the space. My name is Rosalind, and today I'm in sunny South London and with my friend Trevor Francois. So hi, Trevor. And we're going to discuss about a book that I've been talking to Trevor about called The Brain, The Story of You by David Eagleman. So we've had a number of conversations around this, and we just thought, why don't we share this with more people? Why don't we put this online? So this is our first attempt of doing this online, having this discussion online. Not attempt of doing it online, but having the discussion online. So we're going to get started. So welcome. The space it's always going to be on a different location. So today we're in South London. So yes, welcome to you all. So Trevor.
Yes.
The brain.
The brain, yeah.
The brain.
Interesting.
Why was our conversation so kind of like lively? I mean, I remember we had about 2-3 conversations on this topic.
Yeah, because it's sort of something that's always fascinated me, understanding kind of about where thoughts and stuff comes from, and kind of through kind of various kind of other sources in relation to before arriving here at this, I'd kind of come to understand that actually that your thoughts and ideas are chemicals, which for me, cause I'd often wondered what that was all about. And kind of going through this book and listening to it, the Mr. Eagleman describe the kind of the processes that go on, right, when you have a thought, and what happens with that thought, and how that chemical has other things that it's attached to, and so your responses are chemically induced responses. There's nothing so much like what you experience is kind of gets locked into your chemistry basically. So anytime you're faced with a situation like that, your response will be exactly the same because of the chemical groundwork that's been laid before.
Yeah, so remember on the numerous occasions you kept on saying that you don't need to think about things. Thoughts come off themselves.
Yeah, and they do. Yeah.
So
and for me, that's the really interesting thing, because you don't have to sit there and go and think about it. Thoughts come naturally, evolve out of the processes that you have going on in your life and your brain anyway. So thoughts will come out of that. You don't have to sit there and kind of pontificate about anything. Thoughts, if you allow them, will come from you quite naturally. Some of the best thoughts, best science thoughts in the world have not come from them actually sitting there going, oh, what is that? You acquire what you need to acquire in terms of knowledge.
Yeah.
And then let it settle, let it sit for a bit, and the thoughts and ideas will come through from that on their own. You don't have to sit there and think arduously about it, because it makes it thinking to be like a something that you have to force to do. No, so thinking is something that happens naturally. Thoughts come out naturally. You don't have to kind of force them out. They will come when they're ready to come.
Well, it's interesting because I've been reading a lot of books and online resources around creative thinking or creativeness, and especially around because there are interests around finances and money and how some people are kind of doing very well and others are not, and this thing of like giving yourself space, just giving just going for a walk or just being, and through that a creative thought, an idea, a way of kind of like maybe dealing with a situation will just naturally come out of you. But in this kind of time, in terms of the time of the world, but particularly this living in a city, we're in London, and there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of noise going on. There's a lot of things happening. Many people have to commute a lot, so it's kind of difficult sometimes for people to come to grips with the fact that taking time out, sitting somewhere, will be beneficial to them.
And I think but that's the kind of the societal drive in relation to have people thinking along the same lines, and to drive them in a particular direction of thought processes, so they can best. I know it sounds like conspiracy stuff, but about controlling how you are and how you behave. So they have you thinking that money is the most important thing, and yes, it's important in relation to putting a roof over your head and things like that. But in terms of kind of like it's the be all and end all, and if I don't have money, I won't be happy. That's what they get you thinking along those lines. So that causes you, that drives you to work longer hours, to do things that you probably wouldn't do anyway, and really unsavoury stuff that you backbite or whatever, kind of like mess up your colleagues. So you're driven in that direction because of the pressures, but that money will make you happy, and in and of itself it doesn't.
Yeah, because it is thing of like driving you, because issues that have come up for me is this thing of the whole thing around exercise, so you encourage, work full time, 9 to 5, pack your day. Majority of us are sitting in jobs where we're computer based, so we're not being active, we're not manually doing things, our body's not being used, and then we get kind of directed into, if you want to be a great person, if you want to be healthy, you want to be this, you've got to go into another type of environment, which is a gym, and then you've got to work out there, and then you also need to be, a good girlfriend, a good boyfriend, a good wife, a good partner, a good this, a good that. You need to be active, you need to be interested, you need to be going out, you need to be staying in. And it's like, it seems like to me that it's like they just want you to be just doing all the time, that you're constantly doing. And I myself, I've got to the point where I just felt like a hamster in a wheel, where you just constantly feel that you've got to be moving, and with no kind of particular
aim in mind.
Just that, because that's what everyone else is doing. You got to be here, you got to be there, you got to be everything. And however, in terms of societies, we don't live in one of the most happiest societies in this world. With all the material, with all the doing, with all the access, still, we're not the happiest. And I think there was some research done as well on children. We've got some of the most unhappiest children.
That's right, yeah.
So in terms of, what is it in the brain? What is causing us? Or is it nature, nurture? Is it because of the society we live in, the information we fed?
It's all of that stuff, because the brain only works off of the information that what you experience, the things that you experience. So if the experiences that you have are consistently negative and consistently systematic in relation to, you have to do this because if you don't do that, you won't get that. And if this is forced home enough, you start to get thinking like that, and that becomes like a way of being. Kind of it tracks a track in your mind. So it makes your mind your brain actually go, right, okay, I need to get that. So how do I need to get that? So it becomes a thought process. So then it becomes a way of being. Then it becomes a character. So you realise that's the only way you know how to behave. But in that process, where is you? Where are you in that? Because there's nothing to do with you in that. You is driven by external sources. Yeah, ideally, yes, we are, but unconsciously you're being manipulated in that, and to think a particular way and to walk in a particular direction. So where are you in that? And sometimes, and so they don't want you to stop, because if you stop, you get to find who you are. So it's consistently keeping saying, well, you're doing that job by 9 to 5. Cram you in with all that stuff. So, well, okay, you're going to be unhealthy. Well, you need to go in the gym. Right, go and do that. No, you can't have time to sit down. You've got your kids to look after. Blah, blah, and all that kind of stuff. So where are you in that? By the time you're ready to put the kids to bed, you're tired and you go to sleep. So where's that time for you? The time that you need to kind of reflect and look at your life. There is nothing of you in there, and that's not being, people are not being allowed to.
So yes, we're here in the space. And we just finished on one point, and I'd like to challenge Trevor about another point. So we was discussing about, who were you in all of this. So one of the things what it's came up through, as you know, I'm a creative coach, and a question I've asked myself and asked other people is like, what do you want? So, in the midst of all this, like, things, people we have in our life, the business, this kind of sense of actually not knowing what you want. So my experience has been that through life, there's things that I thought I wanted. That no, I know I wanted. Let's be clear that I wanted these things. Then I realised by physically moving to another area, being in another space, that actually these things weren't what I wanted. There were actually some of these dreams were other people's dreams that I had taken on board. So for instance, I always dreamed I wanted a big house. But then when I looked at my lifestyle is not conducive to a big house. I don't want to spend my time cleaning and organising and decorating and repairing. So I realise now my lifestyle, suits some sort of thing, like a nice kind of condo, as they say in America, a nice apartment, a space which is functional, and inviting and homely, but compact and easy to maintain, because I like to spend a lot of time outside. So this thing about, what is it does David Eagleman say about, because I was listening to chapter 1, Who Am I? What is it that he talks about in terms of, people identifying what they want?
Well, it's kind of people having, like I said earlier, like, about having the time and the space to kind of actually say, what do I want? Because sometimes you spend a lot of our time running to and fro in between something else, and you haven't stopped for a second, actually to stop and actually just reflect and observe your life. Because and kind of like it's like an open-eyed meditation about on your life, observing the things that went on through your day and how your actions and your reactions and things you could have done, and that kind of process. Where do you get time to do that? And sometimes you have to make that time for yourself.
But Trevor, how do we, this is the thing. How do we make this time? How do we make it?
You decide what is important here, right? What is important here? My sanity in relation to me, for me to be able to function as a fully functioning member of the society and compos mentis, so to speak. So I can go and run around like an automaton all day long and take on board other people's desires and lose myself in that. And so it's almost like you're chasing other people's dreams, not yours, because you don't actually know what yours are. Because have you actually sat down and said, what are my dreams? What do I want? Do I really know what I want, or am I just chasing something that society says I should aspire to?
No, I understand. Yeah. Talking to through my coaching and coaching people is talking to them is this is what you get. It's like, when you ask them what do you want, it's family, children, work. But actually identifying what they really want is the biggest challenge, because it's all merged into one. It's like, so let's give people some like practical ways that they can actually create some time within their busy lives so that they can actually start allowing that desire of who they are, what they want to start coming out. So what's the kind of things that they...
Sometimes it's like, it's really simple things. Things when you're spending time by yourself. Going somewhere to a coffee bar by yourself. Going somewhere in the country for a walk by yourself, on your own, and sit down by yourself.
But you know what's going to come. You know the audience is going to ask you, but I don't want to be with Billy No, mate. It's like, oh, looking stupid, sitting in some coffee bar on my own, drinking, or going somewhere that, like people used to say to me, how can you go to restaurants by yourself? I said, because I like food, and if I'm hungry, I want to go and eat, and if it's a restaurant I like, I will sit there, but I know I'm not the norm. So how does that person get from not having no time to himself and taking that first step? How do they make that first step to go to that coffee bar, the park, or whatever that space is, which I would say that space needs to be close to your work, or if you're a mother or father who's at home with the children, not far from the school. So it's not an additional to. It's not like adding extra time. However, it's that, how do we make that first step? What is the kind of, so what's some practical steps that or key steps people can take to get themselves into taking that time out?
Well, if you think about it, a lot of time, we spend a lot of time at work. Most of our day is spent at work. Okay, so you think about it. Okay, so those of us who have lunch breaks, a lot of them eat lunch at the desk. So in that time, yeah, you can have a lunch, but you can take that lunch and take yourself somewhere and be by yourself somewhere by yourself on your own, reflecting. Yeah, not just eating your lunch, but you're going to be reflecting some time by yourself and let things just roll over. Don't focus on anything. Don't concentrate on anything. Just sit there and just be with yourself.
And I suppose that's the same for parents who take the kids to school.
Yes.
When they finish school.
Yeah.
So they're having that gassing with the parents.
Take time out.
Take time out.
Take
Say
time
hi,
out.
and then go to the park, go for a coffee.
Yeah. And just,
Until you know what time your next task is or next thing you've got to do.
Yeah.
Schedule that time in, maybe
For
cut
yourself.
down for yourself.
I think, and that's really, really important. We don't give ourselves, and we have to make that. So I haven't got. You people say I haven't got that many hours in the day. Well, you have to make the time for yourself because, as I said before, you are important. You are relevant. So you need to create that time for yourself, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. I went on a mental health first aid course, and part of the course was the training encouraged us to take an hour out for ourselves, to really just to have time for ourselves, so whatever that meant. So it could be a hot bath or doing your nails or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't you don't have to do something, but actually just giving yourself that time for yourself. And she was really when we talk about looking after people, supporting other people, we need to look after our own health and well-being, and our mental health is. So on that point, you wanted to add.
Yeah, in terms of our mental health, it's kind of like what the Tibetans have this idea about meditation. The literal translation of meditation is actually to become familiar with yourself. That's the literal, so become familiar with. So it's almost like you have to become familiar with yourself to know, to recognise the traits and the patterns of your life, and get to understand them, and so what causes them. So when you give yourself that time to do something, you get to notice those things much more readily. So if you're doing it consistently, so you notice stuff, so you can make changes to how certain situations impact and affect you. So
then you find out what you want.
Then you find out what it is you want. So you get to know who you are, who you is.
So on that point, I'd like to thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you, Trevor.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward to. I think we're gonna have to do another one of these.
Most definitely.
I think
Yes.
so.
Yeah.
So that's all from the space today. Be wise, be confident, and be different. And have the most amazing, brilliant week, month. Take care. Bye for now.